What's up, everybody? How are you all doing today? How's it going? Hopefully, everybody's having a wonderful Thursday. Thank you guys for joining me today. For those of you that, if you are new here, my name is James Jackson. I am a filmmaker based out of the Philadelphia area, and I love talking about cameras and camera gears. And I do a weekly live stream where I go over the latest news. I talk about some experiences that maybe that I can help out with you guys. And as you know, today I also do, like I said, review camera reviews or give a little sneak peek of what's to come. And today, of course, I'm going to be talking about the Pyxis 12K. I recently just got a wedding this early at the beginning of this week where I got to shoot with the Pyxis 12K. And yeah, we're going to talk about that today. Also, we're just going to go over like sort of my little build because Blackmagic was kind enough to send me some of the accessories, and I've tinkered around with what I would like to work with, but there's some things that if you have some questions, I could answer that for you as well. And we're also going to cover some of the news. It's very quiet news-wise, but there's a lot of Black Friday deals happening. But there are some news, including news from Amaran, that has got me quite interested. So that's the cover for today. What is up, everybody? How are you going? So I sound far away from my microphone. Really? Okay. So let's take a look at this, which is just in the money. So let's raise this. How's this? All right. How's it? Hopefully I sound a lot better because the mic's right here. It should. Yeah, it should pick up. So hopefully, let me know if I'm still sounding far away. Why is this so big? We don't need you this big. But thank you for the thumbnail. And Robert, thank you for joining the stream. So yes, please join into the stream and definitely let your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. This is an engagement live stream. I always like to. The live stream is at its best when you guys engage and you're interacting. But let me not waste any more of your time. Let's go right into the main topic of today, and that is my first experience doing more of a running gun situation and shooting a wedding with the Pyxis 12K. Actually, let me go ahead and take this out for a second so I can sort of. So normally I would have my Sigma 28 to 70 f2.8 with this lens, with the camera, but it's actually currently on the cinema camera 6K, which is what I'm using. I've decided to try to use it for the live stream today. So, yes, and yes, I am using the updated beta, private beta autofocus updates on the 6K. So we'll see how this is sounding. But overall, in terms of the wedding, it was a lovely young couple. It was honestly a rather typical wedding. But it was actually, I guess the main thing was that it was very cold and very windy. But that comes to play a little bit later, interestingly enough. Overall, the camera in terms of workhorse worked perfectly fine. So, if you're curious in terms of like battery, like the battery and what sort of like my battery. So right now I have, I guess 3 batteries in general, but 2 of the batteries I use in combination. So I have this, which is the the Core SWS Power Base Edge Link. I've had these for a few years now. Shout out to Core SWX. They sent me these over a while back. But basically, I combined 2 of these because I have 2 of them. I combine them together, and then I use this little yeah, here we go. I use this little Tilta D-box for the V-mount, and I use this to power the camera. And this I will get about, I would say 2.5 hours with these 2 batteries on here. And then it's a little bit more with my big battery, which is a DNO. It's a DNO battery, and that's 160 watt. So that gets me, I would say, roughly just under 3 hours. So I would say 3 hours 45, 3 hours 50 minutes on that one battery, and this gives me roughly 2.5 hours. So to me, that's a decent enough runtime to just do what I need to do, and I was able to basically get through the day. And then I have like a BP30. I'll raise this up so you can see. I actually have a BP30 on the inside of the battery, and essentially that basically acts as safety. So if the big V-mount battery goes, power just runs right to the Pyxis, so still running, and I can just hot swap for a new battery. But I was able to get through the first half of the wedding off of one battery, and then once we got to the reception location, that's when I basically ran it off of these batteries. But this was my main camera, and then the Sony FX3 was the B camera. So this was the B camera, and I actually relied more on this as it went on, because now it starts to get dark very soon. So I mean, this has a high, as you guys know, the FX3 has great high ISO performance, and the lighting wasn't always great. However, I guess that goes into, this is where we could go into the image quality. I almost wish I shot more of this in once it got to the deeper part of the reception, because I started looking at the footage, and my God, this I'll be honest, this outside of the its bigger brother, the Ursa City 12K, but this may be the cleanest sensor camera that Blackmagic has ever produced, and it's one of the cleanest sensors that I have ever seen. I mean, I recorded my scenes. The scenes that I did get shot that was like that were getting dark and low. I shot the native ISO of 800, but I was able to to go into the raw tabs and switch it to 3200 ISO. And there's definitely some noise, but it's very, very tolerable noise. Like, just throw on like the slightest bit of noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve, and it's it's really clean. I am surprised at how clean this camera is in low light, and the amount of information that it's stored. It looked like if you there's a shot where there's people dancing on the dance floor, and I could have sworn like it was like dark. The background was dark, and you couldn't see much. And then I switched it to 1600 ISO, and I could not believe how much information was still stored, how much it could see, even though it was black. The parts that it was shown, it was black. You couldn't see that much. And then I switched it up by a stop, and you can see everything there. So honestly, look, I think we need to be clear. There's a difference between a low light performing camera and a high ISO camera. The Sony FX3 is a high ISO camera, and it does really great job at that. And it's also a great low light camera, also because a part of that. But being a low light camera just means that it's like you're able to still have a relatively clean image in very underlit situations. And this camera shocked me in that department because it is super clean. I think there's a video clip out from Tyler Edwards, and he talks about comparing it to the Red Komodo X. The Red Komodo X. I need to be specific. And he was shocked because the shadows and the blacks are clean, just as clean on the Pyxis 12K as it is on the KX. And I have to say that is very true. Like the how clean this thing is, it's ridiculous. And by the way, I didn't shoot anything in 12K. I didn't shoot anything in 8K. I didn't even shoot in the Super 35 9K. The entire thing was shot in 16:9, 4K at Q5. Majority of it was in 24 frames, but there's a few times, especially during the couple shots, and there was a specific thing where the couples they had this horse and carriage, and they were climbing in and out. Those moments were shot in 60 frames a second, which I'll get back to that in a moment. But I preference this because I think YouTubers who have been reviewing and talking about this camera have greatly undervalued the 4K, because everybody, maybe it's me, maybe y'all see some, but everybody that I've seen talk about this camera has talked about the 12K and the 8K options. Very rarely do they talk about the 4K. And even one YouTuber, I forgot it was, is like, why would you buy this? It's like, you're not going to buy this camera just to shoot 4K. That's stupid. And that's pretty much what he said. But that's why I bought it. And the reason why I say YouTubers have been doing a great disservice is because I think by not talking about the 4K, they've undervalued how good the image quality is in 4K. Yes, 12K is going to give you the best looking image out of the camera. Yes, 12K is going to give you the best dynamic range out of the camera. But the 4K is still, and I will say this with my whole chest. I'll say this right now. The 4K, just the Q5 4K, so the most compressed option of 4K, is better than any camera's 4K under its asking price, at its asking price, and even above its asking price. I would say up to $20,000. The 4K on this camera is in my opinion, the best 4K I have ever seen out of a camera in its price range, under its price range, and I would say even above its price range, up to, I would say, about $20,000. I I've shot with a lot of different cameras. I've worked with a lot of different cameras, and I'm saying this. I'll say this again with my whole chest. I have yet to come across a camera that is as detailed as this camera is in 4K, outside of its bigger brother, the Ursa Cine 12K. That's really it. That's really it. The only other one that I say that is like maybe comparable to this is the Kinefinity Mavo Edge 6K's 4K, which I still think this is a better 4K camera than that camera. The level of detail is it's so good, it's stupid. I was literally like in post and editing, and I wish I really could show you guys the footage. Unfortunately, I can't, because I'm under contract from the company that hires me, but two, the client hasn't even seen these images, so it isn't right for me to share it over the internet when the couple themselves hasn't even seen the footages. So, like I said, I really wish I could, but we were in, for those of you that may be familiar with Pennsylvania, we were in the Bethlehem area. We were at Lehigh University area, which is like it's like about an hour and a half north of Philadelphia, and it's closer to the mountain range, going towards, like, you're heading towards the Poconos and everything like that. I'm saying all this because we were doing couple shots in the building that was hosting the reception. We were in a tower area where it had a panoramic glass window, and there's a silhouette because the sun was like beaming through the clouds. So there's a silhouette shot that I have of like the bride like adjusting the groom's bow, and it sees there's only one part of the scene that's clipped, and that's the freaking sun. That's literally the only part of the scene that's actually clipped, where you literally see where the sun is. And then there's just like light rays and things. By the way, yes, I brought up banding, by the way, before, and I will say this, throughout the whole time of recording this and doing the Q5, there was no banding whatsoever on any of the images that I shot. There was no banding whatsoever. But the point I'm trying to make is that you still could make out the details of her dress. You can still make out even though they're completely backlit. The sun is directly behind them, and they're backlit. You can still make out all the details. And then there was some shots where they were, the sun was lighting them up. So we were shooting them in the opposite direction with the windows on the other side. I need to preface this, because there's going to be some of y'all in the chat that's going to be like, damn, you didn't have to do the brother like that. I need to preface this by saying, it was really cold, and it was really windy. I was shooting 4K Q5. 4K, 16:9 Q5, and this was at 60 frames a second. The image is so detailed. It's so detailed, I could make out the ashiness on his knuckles, on the hand that's holding his bride, holding his bride. I could still see the ashes. I could see the glitter. I could see the glitter on the bride's nails. Like, and again, it's a 4K image. It's not 8K. It's not 12. This is a 4K image, and I'm like punching it. Like I could, and I snapped a picture of. I freeze framed it and sent it to myself, and even on my phone, I could zoom in and see all this detail. Like, the image out of this camera is so good, it's stupid. No. The image out of this camera is so good, even in 4K, even in its most compressed format. The image out of this camera is so good, it is simple jack. I think that's the way I want to. I think that's the best way I could go. If you know the reference, you know the reference. But ultimately, I had a blast, and I could even hold it. So like, it's hard to show because again the lens is on here. But I would basically have the camera, and then I would just pull focus like this and hold the camera like so, and it's in this situation in this balance. It's easy. It's very easy to hold hands. It's not that it's honestly not that heavy in this setup, and it feels very comfortable actually walking around and shooting with it. But yeah, so all of this is to say is that man, I had an absolute blast filming with this camera. I had an absolute blast. Like I said, the image on it, it's so detailed, it's so well done, but it's not the digital sharpness detail. Like it just is able to see so much detail because like while it showed all that detailed on the skin, it actually was not like it wasn't like showing like all the bumps on the bride or anything like that or on the groom. It actually was just it's very excuse me. It has a very organic it's a very organic detail. Like but it's still I was just blown away by how good the image is. I was literally laughing. I was laughing at just how detailed this 4K image is. To the point where I'm like again, I think people need to really understand like yes, the 12K is going to give you the best image. But the 4K is so damn good that unless I'm honest, to be perfectly honest with y'all, unless I am shooting VFX projects, like heavy VFX projects, unless I'm going to some I'm traveling to some distant location and I'm going to some place that I know I probably will never get a chance to go back again a lot in my life. Maybe I'll shoot at the higher resolutions just to make sure to capture the best I could. Outside of those situations, I see no reason to shoot more than 4K. In fact, after this wedding, I don't know if I see a reason to shoot more than Q5 4K on this camera. I really don't see a reason to do that because it's just so good, and the amount of memory that you save. Like I think I said this in the last stream. You get about, for every 512 gigabyte card which is the ones I have, you get about 3 hours and 40 minutes of runtime per card, which is about the same amount of runtime you would get shooting all eye on consumer grade cameras like the R5 II or something like the or something on the mirrorless body style similar cameras like the FX3. But this is sort of the point I just wanted to say, and I know overall it was a joy. I had an absolute blast, and some of the images that came out of this is just absolutely beautiful, especially when it was outside and we got the carriage shots. It's like absolutely gorgeous. It's drop dead gorgeous. But let me catch up with you guys and let me see which bro, you got to be in Georgia or South Carolina. Nope. But my family is my mother's side of the family is from North Carolina, so that's probably where you get that. That's probably where you're probably hearing a little bit of that southern swang, southern hospitality in me. That's from my mother's side. My father's side is also mostly from the South, but yes, my family has deep roots in the South. But no, I'm in Philly. I'm in Philly. The 6K autofocus seems a lot better. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. And yeah, by the way, if you guys haven't seen, I actually released a video on showing off the new this updated autofocus, using the best subjects, the best test ever, which is an 8-year-old at a playground. And so basically, I took my daughter to a park nearby, and just captured her playing around. It was some of the best autofocus. Obviously, like, just don't go randomly filming kids at a playground. That could be seen very much as weird. So, but if you do have to have children and you're able to capture memories, and while also testing new autofocus and new gear, hey, why not? How many hours carrying that around looks heavy to me. So I was altogether, it was about 8 hours. It was an 8-hour shoot. It was an 8-hour wedding day. Honestly, it's not heavy. It's not. Well, I will say this: if you're coming, obviously, if you're coming from this, yeah, you're definitely going to feel the weight difference. But honestly, it comes down to balance. If you balance the camera out properly, which is typically what I always try to do, it's not heavy. This is not heavy at all. I'm like toasting it. I can honestly, if I was doing a really bigger project, or if I had to walk around with this all day, I have no problem walking around with this. This is very easy. Actually, it feels, especially with this this top handle, which Blackmagic was kind enough to provide. It's very comfortable. The top handle is extremely comfortable, and it's also just very, very well balanced. Once you've got, like, a lens on it and everything, it balances out really, really well. Honestly, it's not so to answer your question, Flash, it's not really heavy. In my perspective, compared to especially comparing this to others like box or like traditional style cinema cameras, this is like very, very light. I would say, like, with a KX rigged out, I would say this is about the weight is about the same to me as a rigged out KX. So, and I'll say this, compared to another cinema camera that I used in the past, which is the Kinefinity cameras, this is way lighter. This is way lighter than the Kinefinity cameras. It's definitely lighter than its bigger brother, the Ursa camera. So it's honestly not that heavy. How do you shoot with it? More underexposed or overexposed? Greetings from Switzerland. Philip, thank you for joining. So the way I typically shoot is I try to shoot correct exposure. If I had to choose between over and under, I actually prefer shooting under. So in this case, during the wedding, I shot either at correct exposure, or I would shoot a bit under. But that's fine, because again, the sensor is so clean. You can be a little bit under and again raise it up, and it's still by either changing the ISO in the RAW tab or even raising like the exposure part in the RAW tab. It's still super clean, even if you're just like a slightly bit underexposed. So, but typically I try to just go for correct exposure. That's always my number one thing. What resolution did you shoot the low light? 4K. It was pretty much 4K, 24 frames a second. If I had to shoot, because I didn't want to risk it, because it's a paid gig. If I was going to shoot 4K 60 frames a second, I would just switch over to the FX30. And I just not the FX30, the FX3. So I would just switch over to the FX3 and shoot that if I had to go to the 60 frames. I feel after looking at the images I saw right now, I would be totally okay shooting lower lit situations at 4K 60 with the Pyxis. I have the Evil 1, which samples 5.7K, and I think the 4K is pretty damn good, even at lowest long GOP recordings, but 12K sensor would be a step up. Yes. Yeah, so I haven't shot with the Evil One, like personally shot, but I've had friends who've had the Evil One, and I've graded the footage that they've had. So I'm just being honest and being upfront. Um, the Evil One has a great it it's a great camera, but I also feel it does have a little bit of that digital sharpness. It's not as egregious as a lot of cameras are. It's still again that oversampling that you talk about. It does a great job. Um, but I'll but based on my memory, and again I'm recalling memory, um, I still think the 4K out of this camera is better than the 4K out of that. It's just the color tonality. By the way, in case anybody, because I know some people have asked other channels, it does the camera read out 16-bit color? Yes, it does. Because you can even though it's in a 12-bit raw container, when you take it and resolve it, it opens up in resolve. Resolve reads the 16-bit colors out of the camera. So the color fidelity is amazing. Again, it has a very, very clean sensor. The dynamic range is beautiful. The level of details that this camera can provide, obviously, the lens you choose will greatly affect it. I used a Sigma 28 to 70 f2.8. In case somebody's wondering which lens did I shoot for the wedding for, it was the 28 to 70 f2.8. Sigmas obviously are very clinical lenses, very sharp, very detailed, so it helps pulling out that image. But yeah, no, Evil One's still a great camera. But my personal opinion, the image out of here is a bit better. I only have the old Blackmagic Production 4K camera. Look, it. Uh, hey, I'll just say this: if the camera is working for you, if your clients are happy, just it's then you're good. You're good. Um, the look Blackmagic cameras, especially the older Blackmagic cameras. There's a certain je ne sais quoi. There's a certain magic, no pun intended, about the images of their older series of cameras, like the Production 4K. And look, if it makes it work and if your clients are happy, at the end of the day, it's more about you as the shooter. So don't feel too bad like, oh, I only have a production. It's still a solid camera. You just, as long as you know its limitations and you know how to work around those limitations, don't put yourself down. Just remember, yeah, you make the image. The camera just helps you. You want the Ursa though? That's not a bad choice. I'm assuming you're talking about the Ursa City 12K. Not a bad choice at all. Beautiful camera. Absolute beautiful, absolute beast of a camera. Love it. That level of detail is not good for skin though. Usually Bride's face needs some softening. So I will say this. It was the bride was actually maybe she just had a lot of makeup on, and that's very possible. She really worked out. She had a lot of makeup, but it didn't. There wasn't like bumps and pimples and not so fun things to see on her. She looked the bride was a beautiful young lady, and like there wasn't seeing any blemishes. And even the groom, who is a little bit more rugged. Interestingly enough, I made the joke when I first met him. I was just like, the groom is like a spitting image of young Malcolm X. I'm just being honest. I was like, dude, you look like a young Malcolm X. He's like, yeah, I know, I get it a lot. But even him, who's not, he doesn't have all the makeup on. It did a really good. It did a really good job of his face. But even then, you still have Resolve that does a lot. Does help with a lot of the refinements. Ultimately, I'm trying to say is I didn't notice the detail. I did not notice the detail affecting their faces a lot. the details I saw was a lot of it was in their attires. It was in their hands where it really showed itself. I don't know why. It's weird. I don't know why, but okay. Hey James, what kind of stuff do you deliver with a wedding job? Do you give finished edits and raw footage? Do you toss the raw footage after you're done editing? Honestly, today I haven't edited a wedding. I haven't done post work for a wedding in years. I only come when I'm with my boys that do weddings. I'm just a camera operator. I just turn in the footage, or in this case, I work for a wedding vendor, and I'm just a day of shooter. So I literally just go there, I just shoot, and I just upload the footage, and then they handle that. So that's really what my situation has been weddings for the past 2 year and a half for me, and I'm perfectly happy with that because I hate editing weddings. So so to answer your question, I only deliver the raw footage to either the vendor that I'm working for or I'm delivering it to my colleagues who I'm working for. So hopefully that answers your question, man. Uh, can you use the Pyxis monitor to monitor other cameras? Um, Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to test that yet. Theoretically, theoretically, you should be able to, as long as the camera has a Type C port that can send video data. Theoretically, yes, you could, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard of anybody actually try to use it. I mean, the only other one that I saw that could potentially use it was like the C400, that sort of built-in design like that. Outside of that, I haven't came across another camera that is capable of sending video data out by a Type C. So it comes to the camera, but theoretically, yeah, it should. Uh, I think anything from a GH4 up should give you a beautiful image for weddings anyway, and the GH4 came out in 2014, provided you have a nice lens, of course. My GH5 weddings look amazing. Yes, like I said, it's any camera that's been out, yeah, close to almost 10 years. But I would say definitely the last 5 years, since the ever since the R5, the Canon R5 came out. Um, Actually no, I'll go a little bit. I'll go a little further back. I think ever since the Panasonic Lumix S1H came out, I think every other modern camera that has came after that has been pretty much it's on you, the shooter. There's no excuses now, in my opinion, regarding terms of image quality. It's just you understanding what your camera can't do and what your camera can do. But like all these cameras deliver amazing image quality. Uh, so for me, like, yeah, I totally agree with Flash here. Like, don't if you got an older cameras, or I'm actually like I'm actually intrigued in trying to find older cameras and just shoot with them, just to sort of work with some limitations, because it's just like everything's kind of getting kind of boring now. I mean, once you get to this, like, to me, I'm like, everything else is kind of boring at this point, if I'm gonna be honest. Uh, cool. Didn't know you could shoot weddings without editing. Yeah, like it all depends. Like a lot of times, there's a lot of people that run their own wedding companies, but they just need additional hands to cover the wedding. And that's sort of where I did. I did grow up. I did come up where I did like the full thing, where I would shoot and edit. Um, but I quickly realized that it was not. This was not the best situation in terms for me or for the client. So I was just like, let me just go ahead and just do what I know best, which is compositioning and framing and finding the best way to get the certain feel of a shot. So let me do that and then let someone else handle it. But yeah, you could definitely just only shoot weddings. That would be my preferred gig too. Shoot the weddings, hand off the footage for others to create. Yep, that's essentially what I do now. It's like when it comes to weddings. Now, like my documentaries, I run the post work for that with a couple other people that are designed for that, like sound mixers, and usually I have a second editor, and I just kind of oversee it. And primarily, I'll focus and be the colorist because that's where my specialty is. So but I would oversee the post production work of a project of like my documentary works, my commercial works, as well as my corporate jobs. So, but weddings, just because of how long they are, I'm like, just take the footage and you can handle it. How was autofocus on it, or you use it manual only? There's no continuous autofocus on the Pyxis 12K yet. As I'm almost certain Blackmagic is going to try to put face detection autofocus on this camera, but right now there's no continuous autofocus on the Pyxis 12K. It's just the contrast detection single focus autofocus. So I don't use that. I don't use autofocus at all on the Pyxis 12K. Now the Cinema Camera 6K, which is we're using for the live stream, that's a completely different story, especially now with the latest. Sorry, hold on. Give me some water. But with the latest beta update, beta version that came out, I'm using this and I'm using this now, and it's working great. So, I think we're almost getting through this, and I'll sort of, let's see here. The FS7 can be brought for like 1,000 of 1.5K, which is wild. Yeah, no, that is wild. Do you know what is really wild? That the F55 can be bought for like 3 bands right now. For those, if you're not familiar, or you never heard of the Sony F55, that's because it was really a Hollywood exclusive. Before the arrival of the Venice, the F55 and the F5 were like the top tier of Sony Cine Alta. And those things were, I forgot how much those cameras cost. So I think they were like $40,000. I think they were like $40,000. And you could probably, and now you can find them for like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 now. So while yes, the FS7 finding out the FS7 for $1,000, when I know when I was shooting on the FS7, it was like $12,000. That is a deep price tag, but going from like 30, 40 to like 3 bands is wild. Manual only for me when I shoot weddings. I thought I used the FX3 last wedding. I did 2 match with another guy, and it was too easy. Yep. The FX3, while it's very cute to right now for YouTubers to dog on the FX3, but it's an absolute workhorse. And it does its job, and it's very easy. Especially now that the fact that this camera can shoot, you can record externally to B-raw if you make that option. I can easily match this camera to this camera over here. The 6K uses a Sony sensor. Yes, it does. If you were to recommend the Pyxis 12K, what type of productions do you think it is most suited for? I'm thinking it's a showpiece type of camera and not a do-it-all type of camera like the FX6. You're right. I think what this camera is best suited for, I think the Pyxis 12K is best suited for, is indie narrative filmmaking. Just purely of the image quality, the options you have to record. Um, like you could shoot anamorphic. You get the best out of anamorphics with this camera. The level of quality, the big. I would say the number one thing would be like indie. This is like going to be the indie filmmaker camera. That's the best way I can describe it. I also think that depending on how you decide to rig it up, I think it could be a really good dock camera because again, it's lightweight and it's lightweight and it's not so heavy that you can't walk around with it. Like I said, I look, everybody's different, but I know I personally feel comfortable that I can carry and walking, shooting with this all day, not a problem. So those are the two major areas. The next one I would probably say is corporate events. Especially if you're doing a lot of testimonials and it's on sticks most of the time. It's very easy to just set up, and it's easy if you need to send a video signal to your client. You've got multiple videos. In fact, theoretically, you've got 3 video output signals because you got those 2 USB-C ports that can be treated as video out sources, and you got the SDI, and then you got time code. So I would say, I guess the best way to answer your question is if you are working with a team of like 3 to 6 team, small team, this is great and it's good and it's an easy setup to get things going. It's a great way to work with clients. But if I had to be honest, the number one thing this is probably going to be best used for is independent narrative filmmaking. Let's see here. I'm very familiar with the F55. Was my dream at that time, and when the FS7 was released, it was an instant buy. Yeah, exactly. Like the F55, so many people forgot about that camera. But it's and the funny thing is, people still use it. A few years ago, I was on a set. I was on a set as a swing, and they used the FX9, and then the second camera was an F55. So people, the DP used those 2 cameras for this talking head that we set up. So yeah, people still use it. It's still great. With a crew, solo, small crew, 2 or 3. All of the above. Yes. It works because quite frankly, it works so well in all those situations. Like I have a couple buddies that they have Pyxis 6Ks. I already know that this will cut very well, and we're going to just work with crews like that. There's some spec projects that I am working with. Me and my producer are trying to put together, and this is going to be the camera that we're going to use for the spec project. Yeah, small crews, you could absolutely use this with small crews because, like I said, you've got the ports, you've got all the different ports you would need to like get audio. You've got as long as you rig it up and you have the main thing is just making sure you have the proper battery, the proper power. But yeah, it's easy. Hey, $1,500 used on Adorama. So I think I pretty much talked about the wedding, and then I guess I'll go a little bit more into the setup. Probably should have put this back. So I almost have my setup complete. But this is getting close. The main thing I'm missing is a side handle. It's coming. I still haven't been able to get it, but thanks to Blackmagic, they sent me the Ari Rosette side plate. So I'm just waiting to get the handle. So I can do the side plate right here. But I got the side plate, the top handle up here, and then I've got the Pyxis monitor as well. And then this is sort of my setup this is what I like to call my run and gun setup, mainly because this setup I'm pretty much going to use my Sigma 28 to 70, so it's that way I can just go in and pull focus and use a zoom, because that's the Sigma 28 to 70 is really my only zoom that I have. Everything else I shoot primes on, because I just love the look and feel of primes a lot better. It's like my DZO Vespids. So when days I'm going to be using my DZO Vespids, I will use the rod system that comes with the Pyxis kit, and then throw a follow focus and shoot that way. And also I have the other part that is not here but that I use a lot is the Tilta Mirage matte box. So, because obviously this doesn't have built-in NDs. Would it be nice if this had built-in NDs? Absolutely. I absolutely wish, yes, I would love to have it. But to be quite honest with you, I'm also kind of moving away from, not necessarily internal NDs, but NDs that just need to go behind. Because I found from shooting that it gets a little bit annoying, because then you have to shim the lenses to sort of fit that all your lenses. Whereas here, I don't like spending time shimming lenses. It just plugs in. I can just plug in a lens that's designed and go for it. So I actually rather have the ND in front of the matte box, so it doesn't affect the image quality from behind. I know it's a little bit more inconvenience, and I know so many people are going to be up about it. It's not as big of a deal to me. But yeah, this is sort of like my running gun setup. Like I said, I got the Core SWX power base. I got 2 of those to power those, and then another battery to power that. And it's very comfortable. Especially, I really love this top hand. It has like this rubber bottom, and it just feels really, really smooth and very nice in the hands. So right now, I tried the Blackmagics. So Blackmagic provided me the Pyxis monitor kit that comes with the arm that allows you to move the monitor up and down, which is really cool. The only thing is that it lets you move up and down, but it doesn't let you collapse it inside. And that's what I was hoping it did, but it doesn't do that. So it's always out to the side, which kind of throws off the balance. And I don't like shooting that, so I basically kept it like, I keep it like this. And then if I need to, I got a Manfrotto magic arm that I could connect and just run it off to the side if I need it off to the side. But again, I also have the side plate right here as well. So if I have to be off to the side, I got the side plate, which makes it useful. Let's see here. Pyxis 6K is a steal. Yeah. I mean, look, most of Blackmagic's cameras, that when you look at them and when you compare what you're getting with these guys, it's still like right now. I think on B&H the Cinema Camera 6K is like $2,400, and it's the one that has the autofocus capabilities on it. That's, to me, that's a steal too. But yes, the Pyxis 6K is also a steal. It's great. Sorry if I missed it. What's up with horrendous B&H reviews for the Pyxis 12K and all this talk about banding? Great question, man. So we did talk about this last week. There's a few out there that have noticed banding when shooting specifically in 8K and 4K. Now, 13 stops, transparency for you. I actually too have experienced the banding on this camera, but it's in very specific recording modes. So, and I can confirm and say this, that the banding is happening in the constant bitrate options. If you switch over to the constant quality, specifically Q3 and Q5, and I shot this one at Q5 all the time. There is no banding. There is no banding, and I think the reason why is because the constant quality is sort of using. It's not a long GOP. It's not a long GOP codec or a long GOP process, but it's using long GOP techniques where it's very similar. It's very similar to how ProRes RAW behaves, where it's going to give you the information. But if it sees like black and other stuff or ghost colors, it will throw out those information. So in a way, it kind of, I guess you could say, kind of. So it throws away. It sort of helps suppress any banding if there is, but there's no banding at all in Q5. Shooting 4K Q5, the entire wedding, there was not any banding whatsoever, and I went through all the footage. So it seems that to me is a software issue. So Blackmagic should be able to fix this in a firmware update. But that's the main thing of why some people have brought it up, banding, and that is, so it is there, but if you shoot in certain modes, it's not a problem at all. What about lenses? I remember 8K was announced, and certain cinematographers made a big deal about talking about K-spec lenses. So what type of lenses needed for 12K? Honestly, there's lenses. So Flash, there's a lot of lenses out there. Let's be clear. So many companies have been making lenses designed to resolve resolutions of like 12K for years. Not even years, decades. For decades, we've had high resolutions because look at all the Hasselblads are 100 megapixel sensors. Those are 12K. Those are 12K resolutions. This is a 100 megapixel sensor, and in short order, this is a 100 megapixel sensor. So, in order to looking for resolve, you got even the Mamiya 645 lenses, like they resolve 12. Even they resolve 12K. So we've had lenses that do that. Sigma lenses can resolve 12K. Most of Sigma lenses can resolve 12K. Most of the modern lenses, especially a lot of the modern clinical lenses, they all can resolve 12K or resolve 8K. Most of them can. So it's not as big of a deal as some people make it is. People like lenses have been able to resolve high resolutions for decades. So I saw your new Blackmagic autofocus video. Great job. What are your thoughts? So it's definitely a step up. By the way, thank you, man. I do appreciate your kind comments. It's a definite step up from the first beta. I find it to the point where it's still a bit of ways off from like Canon's latest autofocus or Sony's latest autofocus. The best way I can describe it is, the best way I can describe it is the autofocus performance itself is good, borderline great. It does really well, like face detection. Like right now, I'm using the face detection on the cinema camera 6K, and it's been holding well. Like, you guys let me know if you've noticed anything weird happening during the stream. But I've been using the face detection the entire time. So but so far as I can see, it's really good. With face detection the problem is that it takes so long to lock in to the face and really like identify the face. But once it does, it's like it locks on. And it's very good at remembering and finding it, even when it disappears. Like you saw the shot where My daughter, if you saw the video with my daughter in the park, there's a part where she's like spinning, and there's a lot of times where you see it on the screen that it's kind of losing itself. It's trying to find, but it always, or when she falls or she moves in another place, but it always remembers where she is, and then or remember what the subject looks like, and it goes right back to her. And what I like about it is that when it has a face locked on, it doesn't really hunt. The problem is that it has to, in order to get it to lock on, it has to hunt. That's really the main thing. So I would say, like, in terms of autofocus performance, I would say it's like a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. The problem is really the user-friendly aspect of it. That's where I would like to be quite frank. It's like a 2 or a 3, because the problem is that if you shut the camera off at all, or if you even just go to playback and you just look over the footage and then you go back to the live record mode, it forgets everything. It forgets everything. Like, especially if you do continuous or face detection, like, it doesn't face detect anymore. It's hunting and trying to find a face. So it basically starts over. It starts over once you either turn the camera off or if you go out of the live recording mode. So, and there's a couple other user-friendly stuff that it's not there. But I also want to say this. I have to preference this by saying this beta is not officially out yet. They're not even putting it publicly out yet. So there's still obviously some kinks involved, and they're still working on it. So to me, this is not even their final beta option. So just keep that in mind. But overall, it's way better, and I actually would feel comfortable knowing the limitations. I actually feel comfortable using the autofocus on paid jobs. Like, if I was to use the cinema camera on a wedding, I would have no problem using the autofocus on it. Let's see here. What would you say is one of the biggest downsides of the Pyxis? Media. Media, particularly shooting anything above 30 frames a second. I think that's the biggest to me, that's the biggest downside of the Pyxis 12K. It's the media is still huge. Because like again, if you're shooting 24 frames a second, you got 3 hours and 40 minutes on a 512, which is quite a bit a lot. It's also still significantly larger than shooting H.265 on a Sony FX3. Almost double. It's still, I think that's almost double the amount of media storage you would need shooting H.265 on the Sony FX3. And when you shoot 60 frames a second, it really, the media, if you shoot like any slow motion, it really starts rearing its ugly head in terms of media, how much media space you have. So that's, to me, I would say, is the big downside, is that you need a lot of media spaces if you plan to do any high frame rates. Are clients asking for 12K footage? Hell no. Hell no. That's fine. All right, that's a lie. I would say wedding clients, no. 90% corporate clients, no. 90% of narrative and documentary film clients, no. There are a few clients that are asking for high resolution because they're shooting heavy VFX. But that's really the main area of where you would shoot the high resolution. But that's fine. But I don't care about the 12K, really. Like, again, I said before that if I was shooting like VFX, yes, that's what I would use the 12K. But to me, this is still, regardless of the 12K Central, this is the best 4K camera you can get. And again, for under $20,000, and I'll say this with my whole chest, this is the best 4K camera you can possibly get. So, is anybody asking for 12K? No, but I'm delivering the best 4K. But for 4K, it's the best 4K that's out there. I can see myself buying the 12K in the next 12 months or so. I'll probably get the locking EF version as I have a few L series lenses in EF mount. Yeah, yeah, man. That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's a great. I love the camera. I absolutely love the camera. Um, uh, and I'm definitely I'm excited to give my review. But yeah, I would definitely say look at what the lenses you are using and see what best suits to you. Are B&H Pyxis 12K bad reviews in hopes for a price drop? That's what I thought. I don't know. Look, like I said, I think so many people just thought. I guess they were just like they saw that and then they ran with it. I don't want to I want to be careful because I don't want to diminish, people's concerns and problems with the cameras and people point this out because, I mean, it is there because I'm up here, I'm telling you all straight facts, like it's there, and for a lot of people that's problematic and that's fine, but again, if you're shooting, I guess for a lot of people they're used to shooting with the constant bit rate or they have certain clientele demands that have a certain quality or bit rate demand, and that is a problem, and Blackmagic needs to fix it. But I also feel that this is kind of getting blown out of proportion because again there is options of the constant quality where the bandwidth or the banding is not problematic there, and the image quality is still leaps and bounds above many of its competition. Don't know if you spoke on it yet, but were you able to reproduce the banding issue? I have not tried. Also, have you experienced any locking up on the Pyxis 12K? So, Team Tour, thank you for the question. No, I have not experienced any locking up on the Pyxis 12K. So, I'm knocking on wood to make sure that continues to not happen. Again, in terms of banding, yes. You can go to my last live stream, or if you can, or just watch my video on where I discussed the R6 Mark III, where I'm sitting outside. You can see the banding. It's if you look at the window screen, you can see the banding. But I did talk about the banding in my last live stream that I was able to I did see banding. But as I mentioned in here, shooting constant quality, I don't come across the banding at all. Like there's a shot where it is a backlit silhouette shot with the window and the sun is literally behind. You see like light rays beaming down. You see light rays, you see the different textures of clouds, but you don't see banding. There's no banding at all in that entire shot. So, to me, it's sort of like again, I can only speak on my experience, but from my experience, this is more based on maybe how the sensor scaling is happening and the constant bit rates that is creating this issue. But again, you can shoot and not have to worry about banding. At least for me, if I'm shooting constant quality, I'm not getting the banding. All right. On my Pyxis 12K, I'm able to use 2.0 for full 12K 4.0 cards. Only needed when shooting slow-mo for my testings. I use 2 terabyte cards only, by the way, Lexar or Angelbert. Lexar and Angelbert. So I actually have 2 512 gigabytes Lexar cards, CFast 2.0 cards. So those are the cards that I use for the Pyxis 12K, and they work great. Again, so again, he's using 2 terabyte cards. I personally I don't like that much media on an individual CF Express card. it's something that's one of my friends. It's something that one of my friends was always big on, and he kind of melted it. He kind of like drew the influence on me. But if you're shooting 12K, yeah, I just don't see myself ever shooting 12K. And I'm being real. I don't see myself outside of like a heavily visually effects project. I don't see myself shooting 12K. But if you are planning to shoot 12K, I'll say the Lexar cards are really good. But these are the certified Lexar cards that Blackmagic posted about. All my clients just ask for HD. The one file suitable for their laptops and to be projected via HDMI. Only one client ever asked for 4K, and that was for posterity. Yeah, a lot of clients. In fact, majority for this wedding vendor, they typically ask for 4K. They typically not 4K. They typically ask for HD files. I just send 4K files because honestly, I like to deliver a solid image. So, and before I got the Pyxis, I was shooting on the Cinema Camera 6K. Unfortunately, the 4K, while it allowed me to crop in and get me reach, it also showed a lot of the noise in the 4K image. So I was always having to use 6K if I needed to. So yeah, but since I got this now, I don't need to do that. I just dropped in. So have you shot a full wedding with it? How about shooting a wedding with a red Komodo? So yes, I just shot. I just shot a wedding with this past Monday. I shot a full wedding day with it, and it was great. Yes, I was able to shoot the whole day. I actually only recorded to one of the CF Express cards. I didn't even have to go to the other CF Express card, and the images is just beautiful. So if you have questions about the wedding day, absolutely let me know. How was the experience? Just joined in. So the experience was fantastic. The only thing is I've been so used to filming majority of the weddings with the FX3, and going to something like this was a little bit of adjustment, but quite honestly, shooting it was great. If you have the camera balanced, it still feels pretty lightweight. You can really feel like you can run and shoot all day without any issues. I didn't run into any issues at all with the camera. I was able to shoot, like I said, I shot to one. I didn't even fill up one card, and I was shooting 4K and 4K 60. The image out of the camera is beautiful. It is, and I was saying this early in the stream. This is the best 4K camera I have ever seen, that I've seen from a camera that's $20,000 or under. I haven't, again, now with weddings, I haven't shot with Capricians. I haven't shot a wedding with a red Komodo, but it's pretty good. In terms of battery life, I'll pull this up since you guys have just joined. I'll pull this out once again. For batteries, I'm using these Core SWX edge links. I actually have two of them, so I would put two of these together. This would give me about roughly 2.5 hours of runtime, and then I have a D&O battery that it's like 160 watts. That gives me about 2 hours and 45 minutes, close to 3 hours of runtime. And that combo setup pretty much ran the whole day, and I just have a BPU battery. You can probably see it better here. I just put a BPU battery in here that's just small and tiny enough that if I need to hot swap, I can do that without the camera shutting off. And the boot up time is not terrible for the camera itself. Actually, this is something that I think I should mention. There is a bit of a delay of a boot up time from when the camera fully boots up to when the Pyxis monitor boots up. The camera boots up in about, I would say, 8 seconds. And then there's like another 2 or 3 seconds before the monitor boots up. So if you're shooting full experience, it's probably like a good 10, 11 seconds to fully boot up the camera. Actually, let's do this. Let's do it live. Let's do it live. I'm going to actually turn the camera on and we'll see how long it gets to turn it off. So I'm going to turn the camera on right now. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi. Camera's on. 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi. The monitor's on. All right, so about 7 seconds for the camera itself to shut on, and about 9 seconds for the monitor to come on. So there's a bit of a, so just be aware there's a bit of a delay if you decide to use it. I'm gonna shut this off now. So, but overall the wedding has been great. The detail, I was mentioning this, like I said this at the top. I felt YouTubers have been doing a disservice for this camera because they all talk about the 12K and they all talk about the 8K, but they don't ever talk about. Very few of them actually talk about or cover the 4K. And I did this for people that may be interested in just trying to see what does the 4K look like. The 4K out of this is it's ridiculously good. Dynamic range, details, the color tonality. It kicks. It's firing on all cylinders. I said so for those of you that missed it, I was saying at the top. I was laughing. Like it was laughably good. I was watching when I was looking back in the image. I literally went for, there was a split second where I was literally turned into Krusty the Clown laughing. It's that good, man. So the experience, it was a great experience. There was no slowdown of capturing anything with the camera at all. So that was my point too. As camera nerds, everyone wants the best of the best specs, but 99.5% of the time, it's overkill for the client. Yeah, but yeah, again, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we awful to have it. If you're planning to sort of move and integrate, like if I want to go and shoot a sci-fi, maybe I want to plan a sci-fi project, which I actually have written down some ideas of a sci-fi plot project. Now I can use this camera and I don't have to worry about VFX or anything like that. Would you say it's better than the Burano? It's close. It's close to have an argument. It's close to have a debate. I'll just leave it at, and I'll just leave it at that. It's close enough to have a debate. Now imagine when these cameras get autofocus. Yeah, I think so many people are people are going to be start wetting themselves if these Pyxis cameras actually get autofocus. I hope they do. We'll see. Hopefully Blackmagic can work. I have no knowledge of if they're going to, like, if they told me yes, it's coming to the Pyxis. The only thing that Blackmagic has told me is that they're looking at they're looking at all their options, and any camera they can update the autofocus to, they will. If they can do it, they said if they can do it, they will. But outside that, I don't know anything. What bitrate do you shoot at? 14 or 12? So the B-RAW container is technically a 12-bit, but the camera reads out in 16-bit. Because when you open up the files, even the 4K files in DaVinci Resolve, the metadata is reading it as 16-bit. So it has 16-bit of color information. So hopefully that helps. So so I've caught up with everybody, and so keep the comments and keep the questions coming in. There's a few things, I guess, news. Like I said, news wise, it's been relatively quiet. There is a few things that were announced that I'm kind of interested. One of them is the Amaran Ray series from the Ray series of lights that they announced a few days ago. So there's now there are 4 new lights. There is the 60C, there's the 120C, there's the 360C, and there's the 660C. And they're all rocking these brand new LED emitters technology that also has indigo. So basically, even look, Amaran is no longer, under the umbrella of aperture. However, they are using a lot of technologies that helps them make them more compatible to Aperture's Blare technology. The one that I'm probably the most curious about is, I think it's this one, which is the 120C. Because it's like, this is like the small little guy. It packs a punch. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure this is the 120C. It still rocks a Bowens mount. If I remember correctly, watching one of the YouTubers, I think it said that bare bulb, just the bare bulb, the output of the 120C, I believe, is 4,000 lux, which bare bulb, that's insane. So look, as camera technology has definitely grown, I think we've really undervalued how far lighting technology has come. And it's getting to the point where it's like, I don't see, like, there's no excuse for not lighting or being able to light your scene, especially if you want to be considered yourself as a professional filmmaker. The lights is becoming affordable, portable, and just like powerhouses in terms of light output. So this, to me, if I was going to get it, how much is one of these? So I'm gonna look up, see what B&H says on these lights. I know they just put these out. Let me find it. The Amaran Ray. So the 120C is $260. That is not bad, and it's a pretty slick design. And the fact that there's also a combo kit that there's going to be selling, that you can get all these accessories with it. The fact that it still has a Bowens mount light. To me, the 120C is the most interesting one because of just its size. Its size, its size, it makes it great and easy to portable. The fact that it still uses a Bowens mount means that I can use standard reflectors, which then means I can use this beauty that's lighting me right now, which is the GVM Air 2 modifier. It's like a 4-foot softbox. It's one of my favorite pieces of lighting equipment. So to have something like that and then use it and using this, which it's great for some situations like this where I'm not even using a lot of output. Like right now on my Aperture Storm 400X, I'm at like 3% power. So 120C is going to be like a perfect combination, especially if you need to travel, things like that. So that's one of the things that so again, the Amaran series of lights, very, very excited to see. And again, they're really affordable. They're really affordable options. So wanted to just put that out on there. The other thing that I wanted to mention, so I don't use Kinefinity that much anymore, but I always love Kinefinity and sort of the technology, and especially what the technology they did. I just came across this news article from YM Cinema, And it looks like this Black Friday starting tomorrow, there's going to be a massive deal, Kinefinity cameras, where you can get as like low as like $4,400 off on. You can get this like $4,400 off. So an example they give is like the Mavo Edge 8K is going to drop from 11,999 or $12,000. It's going to drop to 9,999 or $10,000. So a $2,000 price drop. The the Mavo LF Mark II is going to be costing around $4,000. So this is all going to start tomorrow. This is all going to start tomorrow. So I'm really, really excited for that. So, it's getting late. So I'm going to wrap this up real quick. So, because I know it's getting late and you guys got to head out. So, Blackmagic philosophy is to deliver industry standards to everyone, and that needs to be appreciated. The value for money is incredible. 100% agree, man. Like, there's so much that a lot of these different companies do different things. I gotta give credit to Panasonic and Lumix for what they did with all the accessories those, but you also got to give Blackmagic that gave cinema grade quality features to us nobodies. And I'll put myself like I don't want to say I'm like a nobody, but I am a nobody. But it's like people that it's just like everybody who just dream of just going out and just making something. They really have done a lot. Have they been perfect with their quality control? No. Even if you talk to them directly, even they would admit that, like, they've definitely had a lot of bumps on the road, but can't be knocked of what they've done for this industry. I would say it's better than the Burano, but the internal NDs is important. People are complaining about banding. The Burano has terrible IR pollution control. Every camera has its own different things. Every camera has flaws. I am so sorry. I'm running. I don't know why I'm running out of water. But yeah, the only thing I would say to that, Davida, hopefully I'm saying, or is it David Ajayi, or is it David Ajayi, or is it Davida? Apologies if I'm butchering the name, but I would say that there's certain people that have certain needs. Like, look, if I'm working on a production that demands like a 5-to-1 compression, this camera may be problematic if banding is showing up. Now, again, I do believe Blackmagic is going to fix it, and I believe we talked about in the last live stream that the Ursa City 12K had some issues with banding as well. I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but they've put out firmware updates that appear to have fixed that issues, fixed those issues. So I'm very confident that Blackmagic is going to resolve this. They want to, because they definitely want to see improvements. They definitely want to see improvements onto that. So I can understand why people are bringing that up, and it's upsetting because it's like, one, I mean, the camera was really high because of what it was, but two, it's just the fact that it may address some of these. Just like you said, the IR pollution is not great on the Sony Burano. The IR pollution is pretty bad, but it may not bother some people as banding is bothering. Internal ND, like to me, it's just like every single camera has its opinion. It's not the perfect camera, but this camera is going to be perfect for someone. The Burano is going to be perfect for someone. The Red V Raptor is going to be perfect for someone. The Canon R5 II will be perfect for someone. The R6 Mark II is going to be perfect for someone. Every single camera is designed for somebody because we're all different people and we're all different artists in this field, and that's great. It's great that we all have our own things and we can find our voice in somewhere. But yeah, again, I can't fully say it's better. I think the I think how clean the shadows are on the Burano is a bit better than this, is a little bit better than this camera. Again, it's all preferences of what you need. So that's why I'm just like, but I say it's up there for a debate. Thank you, Flash. Thank you. Take care. Yes, let's get these likes up. If everybody here in the channel, if you have, make sure to hit the likes because we can make sure YouTube knows you are enjoying the show. What's the record time for 1 terabyte in 4K 24 frames a second on the Pyxis 12K? So I have Lexar 512 gigabytes CF Express Type B cards that on 24 frames a second in Q5 4K 24 frames a second. It's about 3 hours and 40 minutes. So a terabyte of that is going to be and it's going to be 6 hours and 20 minutes. Yeah, about 6 hours of 20 minutes for a 1 terabyte. For 1 terabytes. And also keep in mind, because it's still recording proxies. It's still recording proxies whenever you're recording B-roll. So I'll say just under 6.5 hours of record time for 1 terabyte in 4K. David Ajayi. Okay. All right. Oh, David Ajayi. Okay. Good. I think that's so. I think we're going to go. We're coming up to an hour and a half of streaming. It's been, and I think this is a good time to sort of wrap up. If you guys still have any questions about the Pyxis 12K, I'm still going to be making content about it, and of course I still got my review video for it. I'm comparing this to the FX3. I'll compare this to the Cinema Camera 6K. I got a bunch of buddies who's got Pyxis 6K, so although I do have a lot of content for the Pyxis 12K coming up, and I'm really excited for that. But yes, if you still got questions, leave them in the comments after the stream is done. And thank you guys so much. Okay, I'm gonna answer this one last one, and then I'm gonna call it a night. How many hours of raw footage do you shoot on a wedding in your area? In my area, we shoot around 3 hours and deliver 2 to the client. In this case, shooting raw is irrelevant anymore. So a lot of questions for this one. So how many hours? So I am actually required by my vendor to deliver at least 3 hours of unedited video footage. So that's all together. So with my Pyxis 12K, my FX30, whatever cameras I'm using, I am required to deliver at least 3 hours of raw footage to my vendor when I upload. So typically that is how I run. Now, in terms of media storage, that typically runs anywhere between 350, and then this last one, which was more heavy on the Pyxis 12K, it was about 540 gigabytes of storage. So 540 gigabytes of storage, and that's including the Pyxis 12K, the FX3, the Osmo Pocket 3, and all the audio that I captured throughout the wedding day. It's about 540 gigabytes of media storage. So that's to your first questions. To the second question, is shooting raw relevant anymore? For weddings, no, you don't know. You shooting raw, and there's a lot of things that because technology is getting so good that you can get a lot of the benefits of raw, where you get, not necessarily benefits, but you can get raw with DaVinci Resolve, you can change and work in a linear workflow that behaves almost as if you shot it on camera. It's as close to basically doing raw that you could possibly can. So and I think I've actually done a tutorial on this. If not, I'll definitely show. But it's really like, to me, like, even when I'm just shooting 10-bit 422 files, it's really, 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 really easy to make make to balance out an image with like white balance that is natural and that is organic, to make those corrections without the image falling apart, as if I was shooting raw. But there is still some benefits of shooting raw. One, the big benefit to me now with raw is the fact that I have, with DaVinci Resolve, you now have access to all the different gamma curves and color spaces that the raw data holds in DaVinci Resolve. So I can convert my Pyxis 12K to Arilog C4 color space. I can convert it to Arilog C3. I can convert it to Sony. I can convert it to Canon. I can convert it to Panasonic, Nikon, because all that gamma curve and color space is in Resolve's raw tab, and I can make those changes on the dime if I want to. So I can match closer to a lot more cameras with my raw because of that. But really, that's only if you enjoy like the color grading process, and sort of enjoy that process. If you don't, if you're just trying to get something out quickly, raw is not really that big of a deal. So so hopefully that answers your question, and thank you guys once again for joining with me for this live stream. I'll see you guys next week. Keep an eye out for continued content I'm going to be covering on the Pyxis 12K. And as always, until next time, take care.